delighted to welcome you to the Colorado Ceasefire's 20+2 year anniversary. What I'd like to do is go ahead and bring the director, the founder, really. Eileen McCarran is going to come up and she has got some words for you, and she's going to be introducing our two congressmen.
Thank you. You know, the person whose fault this is here. I saw him, Mike Hunter. He was one of the 6 of us who gathered 20+2 years ago in a hallway at Montview Presbyterian Church. We were quite successful in our first venture that year, and we assisted in the turnover of 6 seats in the Colorado House and Senate. Congressman Crow is a former Army Ranger and Bronze Star recipient, and he grew up in a working-class family, enlisted in the National Guard, and worked in construction to help it pay his way through college. After graduating, he joined the active duty Army and served our country in 3 tours of duty in Iraq and Afghanistan. Now he has taken his servant leadership to Congress, where he represents Colorado's 6th Congressional District and serves on the House Small Business and Armed Services Committees and the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence.
Thank you, Eileen, for the introduction and for your incredible leadership over many years and the things you've done. Gloria, Neil, always a pleasure. You do incredible work for the community. To the board members in attendance tonight, to the Ceasefire outreach team, which I know there are many here tonight, for the work that you do in the community. To my dear friend and colleague, Joe Neguse, who we have long history and background, and we work on this issue together because we unfortunately have the terrible commonality of representing districts that have been disproportionately impacted by gun violence, and we've supported each other, we work together. Weapon matters. You know, don't buy this lie by the gun lobby that's simply trying to sell more guns at the expense of our children and our communities. And to say enough is enough, that there's common sense things we can do, like a assault weapons ban, like universal background checks, like magazine limitations. And as long as I'm in office, and even after, I'm going to be that voice. I'm going to lean in, I'm going to speak truth. I'm not going to be intimidated. You have obligations as a citizen of this country, and we won't stop until we ensure that each and every one of us fulfills those obligations.
Our second rising star is Congressman Joe Neguse, who represents Colorado's 2nd Congressional District. He is proud to serve as Vice Chair of the House Gun Violence Prevention Task Force. Congressman Neguse.
I'll tell a brief story because it speaks to why I care so deeply about the work that Colorado Ceasefire does each and every day. I remember, just like yesterday, being a 14-year-old student in April of 1999. And I can remember, just like yesterday, being a 14-year-old student in April of 1999. Learning for the first time what had happened just 10 miles from us at Columbine High School. Those young children who murdered that day was an incredibly talented, kind, funny, brilliant young man named Daniel Mauser. And I remember a year later watching the news and seeing his father, a man who was wearing his son's sneakers, to convey to the people of Colorado not only what he had lost and his community had lost, but our state had lost, and the need for us to convert that collective anguish into action, which he did successfully when our state passed a measure to close a gun show loophole. That man is Tom Mauser. When I think of bravery, I think of Tom Mauser. When I think of bravery, I think of Tom Sullivan. When I think of bravery, I think of Rhonda Fields. When I think of bravery, I think of John Morse. And when I think of bravery, I think Colorado Ceasefire. Because Colorado Ceasefire is there, standing in the breach, advocating for the voiceless, and doing everything that it can possibly do to convince our legislators that gun violence prevention can and must happen in our lifetime.
I now want to turn to Ceasefire's outreach program, the works that they do. Please join me in welcoming Justin Moreau and Darcy Ziegler.
I'm a teacher myself. I worked in the school system here at Denver Public Schools for the last 3 years. And homicides are now the leading cause of death for young people in our state and nation. Of those, the leading cause of those homicides is suicide from our young people. Why am I here? That Ceasefire has linked up with Denver Public Schools. We have a curriculum now. We're starting with McCullough Manual Middle School this fall. And by 2024, if we're successful, we should be in 10 different schools with the curriculum that we rolled out.
I'm here because I refuse to live in a world where gun violence is the leading cause of death for children. And Colorado Ceasefire Outreach was formed in 2015 and is dedicated to spreading awareness about the dangers of gun violence and the ways that we can minimize harm. We build relationships with community leaders, legislators, educators, and members of our community to work with and engage stakeholders in meaningful dialogue on the issue of gun violence prevention. You who might not know about IRFO, what it is it's a civil order that a judge would execute that would temporarily remove access to firearms for someone in crisis and at an increased risk of harm to self or others. And so the IRFO project was a success. We look forward to continued work on that law and others. And thank you all for being here and making that possible for future.
You all have raised $20,000 tonight. So next year, keep up the great work, and we will definitely